Donald Trump calls the Fani-Wade saga and the indictment total BS. Why? Because it might be all connected to a conflict of interest where Fani was funneling $1 million to her lover, Nathan Wade. Alleged lover. We still have to wait and see what her response says. But now we've got 15 media outlets that are now demanding that Nathan Wade's divorce records become unsealed. Trump is responding to this. And as the local news continues to dig in, we see really how out of order these charges are. Here it is.
Investigative reporter Zach Merchant is joining us now, uncovering new records showing how much...
Okay, this is Zach Merchant, no relation to Ashley Merchant, the defense attorney, who is also behind the filing of the motion. She's going to add up all of the different numbers. He's going to add them all up and watch which one just doesn't look like the others. One of these things just doesn't belong here.
Nathan Wade has been paid for the case compared to others assigned to it. So, Zach, what did you find here?
Yeah, guys, first off, we want to say we've been on this for a bunch of days now. The accusation that Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade had a relationship with DA Fani-Wade is explosive, but so far unproven. The court filing making that allegation contained no concrete proof. So we're keeping our attention on the money and documents we can independently corroborate.
Perfect.
We spent the last 24 hours looking through Fulton County payment logs and discovered records suggesting Wade was paid substantially more than two other special prosecutors.
That's
an
understatement.
Without naming him, Fulton County District Attorney Fani-Wade addressed the controversy surrounding Special Counsel Nathan Wade while speaking before the congregation at Big Bethel AME Church over Martin Luther King Day weekend.
I appointed 3 special counsel, as is my right to do, paid them all the same hourly rate. They only attacked one.
While that may be true, public records obtained from Fulton County show the amount each were paid differed substantially. Records indicate the DA's office paid Special Prosecutor John Floyd's law firm, Bondurant, Mixon, and Elmore, close to $73,000 between 2022 and 2023.
That's the white guy.
Special Prosecutor Anna Cross's law firms, Cross Kincaid and the Cross firm, were paid a total of roughly $90,000 during the same years.
White female.
Over the same time period, Fulton County records show the DA's office paid the law offices of Nathan J. Wade more than $650,000.
Those figures sound radically off.
Look at those numbers. Look at that. Oh my gosh. It doesn't get any clearer than that, does it? That's a lot, right? And so that kind of, something feels off on here. I'm not a financial guru or a numbers guy. You guys know that better than anybody. But something just feels weird. I don't know. I think maybe, did they forget to carry a decimal place or something? Did somebody forget to carry the 1 and the 2? I don't know. All right. So anyways, that's the news that's digging into that. But Trump rightfully calls this all nonsense and total BS. So make sure the kids are in bed, my friends, because the president is going to tell some truth. Here's what it sounds like.
They go after their political opponents with the DOJ and the FBI. That's me. They go after me. I got so many court cases. I've been indicted more than Alphonse Capone. You know who Alphonse? Greatest gangster of all time. He was the #1 of all time. Scarface. Did anybody ever hear? He was a lovely man. If he had dinner, if he took you out to dinner, had dinner with you, and he didn't like the tone of your voice, you were killed. You were guaranteed. I got indicted more than he did, sir. You know what I call them? I call them, they're Biden indictments. No, they've weaponized the DOJ. They go after their political opponent. Now, in this particular case, didn't work out so well. So our polls are at record numbers. Like last night, we won in the history of Iowa. Nobody's ever come close to getting the kind of numbers I got. If I didn't get indicted all these times, and if they didn't unfairly go after, I would have won. But it would have been much closer, I tell you. I don't know if I would have made the trade. I might have just like the position we're in right now. I would doing very well on that score. Did you see Fanny? Fanny from Atlanta.
Yeah, Fanny.
She paid her boyfriend, a lawyer, who had no experience as a lawyer and no experience doing what? Almost $1 million. And then they decided to go on beautiful Norwegian cruise lines, trips all over the place. He was a very generous person with our money. And he was the guy coming after me. Can you believe it? And they're all, every one of these people. These are corrupt people.
Yes.
These are corrupt. And you know what? Forget about me. They indicted 18 fine people. 18 people like you, in some cases elderly. They signed a slate, just like Thomas Jefferson did slates. They go slates, just like they did to me in 2016. They wanted a slate for Alabama that I won by 45 points. Okay? They said, maybe he didn't win Alabama, but I won by 45 points. They could have picked something that was a little bit closer. But they go after people, and they want to destroy people, and they're evil. And we're putting an end to it, and we're putting an end to it fast.
You're right about that there, Donald Trump. We are putting an end to it, and it is seemingly happening quickly. A lot of people getting a little bit nervous out there with the results in Iowa and what's going to be New Hampshire any day now. So we've got 15 media outlets that are all wanting to learn more about this, and they submitted a filing here in Georgia. Let's take a look at what they want to dig into. Bunch of news people all piling in. Now, this is not the Trump case. This is Nathan Wade versus Jocelyn Wade. Nathan Wade is the Fani-Willis special prosecutor who got all that money, all that Trump prosecution money, that government money. And it's Jocelyn Wade, his loving, dedicated housewife who had been married to him for over 20 years, raised their kids, was very supportive until Nathan Wade allegedly entered into a new relationship with Fani, signed a contract, and the next day submitted divorce papers. Home wrecked, thanks to Fani. And so now the media wants to learn more. So do we. Here you can see the motion to unseal comes from the Atlanta Journal, ABC, AP, Bloomberg, CNN's in the house, CBS, we got CMG, Wall Street Journal, Gray Media, Guardian, New York Times, Tenga, WAPO. Everybody wants to get in. Now, this is a motion to unseal. Now, this was by a non-party, also Ashley Merchant, the person who ultimately submitted the motion to dismiss this case on behalf of Mr. Roman. Now, this one is scheduled for January 31st. There's a hearing on this one as to whether this should be unsealed. Now, unless otherwise directed by the court, the media interveners will also appear at the hearing and also request that this motion be heard at this time. They say, all right, now the instant action involves divorce case of Nathan Wade, Fani's alleged lover, and his loving wife, Jocelyn. A filing made by Miss Merchant, a defense lawyer extraordinaire on behalf of Michael Roman, says that the divorce records are relevant. Why? To support the allegation that Fani and Special Prosecutor Wade, they did the following. One, they maintained a relationship that was romantic between Fani and Nathan, that they cohabitated for a period of time, that they lived together, these little lovebirds, that they paid for personal travel and other expenses related to DA Willis during times that are relevant to his appointment, right? So Nathan paid for Fani's vacations. Based on these and other allegations, Miss Merchant says that Wade and Willis should be disqualified from the case and that the indictment should be dismissed. So the media says now the possible existence of a romantic relationship between Special Prosecutor Wade and DA Willis, yeah, it's now a matter of significant and legitimate public concern. The media says the public interest in any court records in this action bearing in any way on a relationship between Fani and Wade overrides the privacy interests of the parties. Georgia Supreme Court has said so, says that we have a presumption of access to court records even when they involve family matters. Media interveners respectfully request that the court vacate the sealing order. Why'd you seal it in the first place? Said here, the right of the media to intervene in legal actions where there's news gathering rights is well established. All these cases recognize the right of the press to challenge orders that exclude the public. This is an Atlanta Journal-Constitution case from Georgia itself, saying the public has a right to access the court records, saying it's well established that the First Amendment under the United States Constitution accords the press a right of access. In 1980, the United States Supreme Court held that the right to attend state trials is protected by the First Amendment. Now, the court subsequently recognized that the public press also enjoys a presumptive right. Now, in Georgia, the Georgia Supreme Court has also expanded on these constitutional principles by saying access to court records is one of the hallmarks of our state's judicial system. Well, I don't know if I really agree with that. You know, when I have to go get Georgia court records from their court record system, I got to pay like a couple dollars for it. It should be totally free, as they all should be. But all right, at least they have them online. Now, the court has reiterated time and again that open judicial records are proceedings that are integral to a part of our democratic system. Now, the court has sought to open doors of the Georgia courtrooms to the public. And so similarly, we should have access to this. The right of access includes civil proceedings. Georgia Supreme Court has given us a lot of access to this, including an adult child who asserted the right to the owner of the Atlanta Falcons. Now, although the case involved private parties and did not implicate ethical issues arising out of government services, as this case does here, the court did not hesitate. The court said mere embarrassment was insufficient to overcome the presumption of access. That's great news. It sounds like this court has a lot of precedent that's going to open this up. Now, the burden of demonstrating that records should remain sealed is on the parties seeking to maintain the sealing. As set forth above, in order to properly seal the records, the harm resulting to the privacy of a person in interest must clearly outweigh the public interest. And to continue such sealing, the court must make factual findings on the record. So, Judge, if you're going to keep this sealed up, you got to tell us why. We're going to have a hearing. You're going to have to make a note of it. It is not sufficient for the trial court to forego making findings of fact and simply state that the public interest is clearly outweighed by the potential harm. So no vague nonsense rulings. They say, hey, judge, by the way, the public interest in this matter cannot be overstated. State versus Trump is a criminal proceeding of historic importance, which is why they probably should have appointed somebody who knew what they were doing and not sleeping with Fani. But the allegation that records in this action reveal a legally improper relationship between Fani and Wade, it must be answered in a transparent manner to preserve public confidence in our judicial system. Media interveners respectfully request the court vacate the sealing order that was previously entered and confine any sealing to, quote, protected identifiers governed by other rules. And for the reasons stated herein, we ask that you grant our motions, and this is what has been submitted, signed off and sent into the courts, saying based on a review of the docket, it appears that no motion preceded the sealing order. So why did the judge just seal it? No motion preceded the sealing order. Weird. Who asked them to do it? And the court did not hold the required hearing prior to its entry. Double question mark. Is there a cover-up afoot? The February 10th, 2022 sealing order itself and all prior filings are under seal. So the media interveners, we also assert, Judge, that the sealing of this action is both procedurally and it's substantively improper. So you didn't even seal it lawfully in the first place. And so weird stuff is happening here in Georgia, man. We already saw that Nathan Wade had a prior history of not taking any notes when he was doing studies about dead inmates. Didn't take any notes. Why didn't you take any notes? Got them all right here. Well, can we download from there? Not going to need them. So that's the point. It's all being covered up, and even the media is like, can we please have access to this? Why'd you seal it in the first place? Well, I don't know. Maybe Fani got her hands on it. But Fani has a hearing coming up, my friends. Thursday, February 15th is scheduled for an evidentiary hearing. I'm very hopeful that Judge McAfee will allow this to be broadcast. He's been broadcasting everything else. Why would he not broadcast this one? We'll see. We're going to be here continuing to cover it, my friends. And so thank you for subscribing wherever it is you're watching this. If you want to access any of the PDFs or sign up for our daily newsletter, which I would love it if you did, you can go to robertgovea.com. The link is down in the description below, and we'll look forward to seeing you over there and back here on the next one.